French farmers are threatening what they're calling a siege of Paris in protest over agricultural regulations. Convoys of tractors have been blocking major routes into the city. Farmers are demanding higher incomes, less red tape, and protection from cheap imports. The government is expected to announce more concessions later on Tuesday.
After days of regional blockades, France's farmers headed for the capital in what they're calling the Siege of Paris, stopping traffic along 8 major arteries into the city. Paris is the capital, so going there is a powerful symbol. If you go to Paris, that's where the head office is, where all the ministries are, where all the politicians are. Going there is the final act. These protest slogans have become a common sight across the country. They read, "Our end will be your hunger," and "I love my job, but I'd like to make a living from it." The farmers say that they are being strangled by French and EU regulations. Anger over the removal of subsidies for agricultural diesel, a low-tax fuel used to power tractors, and the reversal on pesticides bans drove many to the streets. In Belgium, farmers echoed the demands and tactics of their French counterparts, blockading roads near the capital, Brussels.
Seeing
that it was starting up in other countries, we said to ourselves, maybe if we all get together, then we will be stronger in the eyes of the EU, and we would like the EU and its representatives to take responsibilities. Farmers in Germany are also demonstrating. They say they are standing against what they call tax and bureaucracy madness. Similar protests have also spread to other countries, including Italy and Romania. And this anger could be expressed at the ballot box when the European Parliament election takes place in June.
Let's cross to Paris now and to DW correspondent Lisa Louis. Lisa, the farmers are angry and they are on their way to Paris. How far are the farmers prepared to go?
Well, absolutely. As we just heard in this report, the final point of this protest movement could be the siege of Paris. Mind you, right now, they're blocking the main roads leading up to Paris, so secondary roads are still open to traffic. That might change today or tomorrow. Also, they have said that they might move into Paris, obviously, depending on what Prime Minister Gabriel Attal will say later on. There's also a convoy of about 200 tractors that are on their way from southwestern France to Paris, right around Limoges in central France right now. Their aim is to block the Rungis wholesale food market just out of Paris, one of the biggest such markets in the world that is providing produce for Paris and its region. But it seems that the police are determined to stop them from doing so.
You mentioned it there, the French government is to address farmers' requests later today. What do you expect will be announced there?
Well, Gabriel Attal will hold his general policy speech in Parliament this afternoon. You know, the government has already responded to some of the demands by the farmers, such as, for example, the government has withdrawn plans to increase taxes on off-road fuel. They're also providing additional subsidies. The government could now say, you know, we're going to cut additional red tape or ease a little bit environmental measures. However, there are some parts of these demands that are in the hands of Europe, of the EU, and Emmanuel Macron, I understand, will go to Brussels later on this week and might plead the cause of the farmers. For example, we are hearing from the Elysee that the Elysee would like to stop negotiations on a free trade deal between the EU and the Mercosur market, so South American countries, a deal to which farmers are opposed here in France.
Lisa, what's interesting is that elsewhere across Europe, farmers' protests have attracted far-right and populist parties. Is that something you're seeing in France as well? And if so, why?
Well, yes, absolutely. The far-right party, the head of the far-right party, Jordan Bardella, has gone to see farmers on several occasions. over the past few days. Obviously, they are trying to capture that vote ahead of this year's EU elections in June. Mind you, farmers are not necessarily the ones that will primarily vote for the far right, but the far right is trying to capture the rural vote and is increasingly succeeding in doing so since 2000-2001 here in France.
As DW correspondent Lisa Louis, thank you so much.